and make sure we're live. Oh, what's up, Faye? How you doing? Yes. Did you get you got the link. So, I'm gonna need your help if you're at a connection. If you're at a good internet connection, I'm getting these little warnings about my speed. So if you can help me, if you see it being choppy, maybe I have to lose one of the platforms. I don't know yet, but thanks for stopping by. Nice to see you. What's going on? It looks like we're live over on the YouTubes. We are live over at the Facebook. And obviously we're live at Twitch because we got Faye Helmet in the house. And we are... Oh, there's one thing I need to do for Facebook, which I think I can do manually. Actually, I better put my mic on. Whoop, is that better? Louder? Too loud. Okay. So I'm going to go over to my live stream. And then we're going to try. Yeah, it's going to be... Yeah, this is what we'll do. We'll share to a group, our portrait painters group. Okay. Let's head over to Portrait Painters. We're live. We're going to pin this. Pin it. Come on, Portrait Painters. Come on in. Say hi. I'm going to try and check out my comments and all that on Facebook and the other one. We seem to have an excellent connection, it says. I'll believe it when I see it. And let's see what happens. All right, 3 minutes in, we've got our audio going. We have our... I made one sort of critical error this morning. Luckily, I had backups, but I deleted some previous time-lapse stuff, and it's all right. I mean, it's okay. I have a copy, but it's not like the lossless file, which I like to have. All right, so what's new? Let's dive in. So, first, we're going to make sure we're on the right file. And yesterday we tried something new. Which was to listen to an interview with Josh. Well, so I was working on all this stuff. And the background. And it's much harder for me to work on the background than it is the foreground, because I think as we keep talking about, there's something, you're doing all this work and it's not really changing much. I mean, the background's so important, but it's kind of like, all right, yeah, I'm putting all this work in, And it's all kind of monotonous. It all looks the same. So that's why I put on a video. Or, I mean, I put on an interview. So, here, we're going to keep an eye out on my stream here for when it says bitrate something or other. And I'll say, when I see that, I'll tell you. And then if you see something weird happening, let me know in the comments, in the chat. Okay? Okay. So, where were we? So since the last time you were here, Faye, we had some progress, I would say. At least in this all too critical background. I'm just smudging in these things. We're not going too crazy with detail or shape. We're just going to try to get these things generally in the right place. Just patchy. Patches. Okay. There's another patch. Interesting. I already see something that I made a bit of a faux pas with here. We're going to plop in our thingy. We're going to So, anybody out there familiar with using digital paint, digital brushes? The reason I ask is because I have this kind of, for the most part, I can sort of, I don't know. I don't want to say fake it till I make it, but like, I get it. For the most part, I understand how the brushes work. But here's what I don't fully understand. Let's say we're doing sort of a black, let's say we're painting, I'll do a good example here that might not be that easy to see, but I'll do it in a little bit. Basically, if I have a super dark area and I try to paint over that with a light area, no matter how many times I keep painting, it's almost as if the dark value overpowers that light value. And with traditional media, you know, if you put more light, opaque paint into a dark, you know, swath of oil paint, it, you know, you keep putting the paint in, you know, brush stroke, eventually it's going to knock out the dark. I mean, I get that it'll blend somewhat, but so I'm trying to understand how that works in the context of digital brushes. Okay. Not critical, but so next thing I'm going to do while I'm here is step aside and make sure that our thing is going. Wait a second. Is it going? Yes. Our stream is going. Our what would you call it? It's not a stream. Okay, here's an example. My light wants to live there, and I just put it in, and it's not showing up as a light. Like, this is the color, and it's not light enough. So I don't know why. Well, again, that's hard to see. I'll do an example later. Okay. Where are we at as far as tricky business here, because I think, as I've said a few times, I like to try to not treat this like a printer, like from top to bottom. We kind of want to keep the whole thing going at once, but like, look, that was a risky move, because I think that was not quite placed properly. But here, let's see what happens if we have our this is the same kind of thing. We're trying to grab a light brush and blur into a dark brush. And if you drag it into the dark, it'll work. But if you paint over the top, it doesn't take, so to speak. I don't know why. That's, that's sort of one of these technical aspects of this that isn't too important to me, because I'll figure it out and I'll just sort of get used to doing my own way. But oh, by the way, Faye, are you working on your did you get your did you work out your paper cutting software? Go check out Faye's stuff on Twitch, right? Do you have a Twitch channel? I don't know. You do, but I don't know if you stream to it. I'm sure you're linked up. But so yeah, I was talking a little bit about that, this idea of painting versus drawing. Maybe I'm not really ready to talk about this this morning already, but people tend to confuse drawing with like people often confuse painting. Let's say painting. They're like, I know how to draw. I don't want to learn. I don't need to know how to draw. That's not what I want. I want to learn how to paint. And that is a tricky proposition. And I'll tell you why. If you know how to draw, then painting is just a matter of muscle memory. So that's why the first step is learning how to draw. If you want to learn how to paint, I say learn how to draw. And by learn how to draw, I really mean learn how to see. So the tool that I use to help me learn how to see is called the sight size method or technique, sight size. We call it sight size. I would probably be what it essentially comes down to is whatever you're doing, painting or drawing, you are attempting to see your painting and your subject. You know, the way I was taught was the subject was never a photograph. I'll be honest. This is a big no-no where I'm from as far as my training. Painting from photos is a big no-no. But that's another subject. That's another topic. That's a sore subject. But as far as let's just say that painting from photos is okay. Let's just assume that. I like to employ a technique which is called the sight size technique, wherein you set up your reference, the subject. In this case, it's a photograph. If it is a live model, awesome. But your subject and your painting or artwork are to be set up equidistant from the I don't know how to do this. What do you use the sword? How do I get rid of that? All right, well, Vortex, no thank you. I don't know how to get rid of that comment. I thought I could do it via whatever. Although I could really use some cheap viewers. It's tempting. It's not showing up. I guess it will. Activity. All right. So we'll try again. We'll keep trying. So by placing your artwork and your subject matter at a fixed distance, at the same distance, from a fixed distance away from essentially your eyes, your retinas, you are able to very quickly make comparisons about proportions. People often say, I'm not good with getting the proportions right. I do something that's the head's too big for the body, any number of proportion problems. And what this sight size technique does is it takes out the middle man, so to speak. In other words, you don't have to translate how big the thing should be or how you're just looking at the two together and flicking your eye back and forth from subject to painting. Okay, encoding overloaded. Consider turning down video settings. Okay, what does that mean? Are we seeing choppy stuff? Encoder overloaded fix. OBS. Send video to the encoder, which reduces the pressure on your CPU. Where do we make these changes? Output. Software or hardware? Well, if anyone's watching and could tell me if they're seeing funny business with the stream, apart from the typical shenanigans, I'd really appreciate it, because I don't want these warnings popping up. Yes, I'm streaming to 2 platforms, 3 platforms, but I want to learn what I'm doing wrong. And I also want people to be able to see what I'm doing. So I don't want to turn down the quality to a point where you can't see what's happening. So, all right, speaking of what's happening, let's zoom out. I'm looking forward to sort of getting this one wrapped. Gonna take me a second. Obviously, there's some more stuff to do in the background. But we'll keep trying. Whoops, something happened. Keep trying, you'll get better. Try, try, try. All right. So now we're just sort of rocking our way through. We are that's too big. I don't know. I'm blotching in, I'm just mapping in these pieces. and I don't know if they're in the right place. I'm not too concerned about it. I want them generally in the right place. But again, you'll see that my eyes are going back and forth from the area I'm working on to the photograph that I'm trying to paint. So I'm trying to sort of use this photograph and take my eyes, and by moving them quickly back and forth, I am able to, like as I paint, know where the brush needs to go. Does that make sense? So it's sort of like a blind drawing in a sense, where you're not looking at, you should mostly be looking at the reference. You should mostly be like the painting. You're only looking at the painting to know where the brush is going to go. And then once you know where the brush is going to go, you make your mark. And then you just keep looking at the photo or at the whatever, at the painting, at the person, the photo, at Josh. So we're looking at Josh, and then we're looking at the painting. Okay, look at this. We've got all right, so I haven't gotten that pesky thing yet. Although it's possible that that happens when I'm using do I need my spooky lighting back on? Why do I keep flickering? Is this gonna help? Let's put a spooky flashlight. All right, I don't know. How's that? All right, let's get in here and keep plowing. Plowing away. And keep trying. So here. So you'll notice that my edges on my bricks are very sharp. And that's okay for now. We want to adjust that eventually. And the way we adjust it is by mixing up a middle value, finding a middle tone, and bringing it through. I'm not doing it now, but I will. Very good. If anyone was around yesterday for the stream, we listened to a pretty interesting interview with Josh. He's a smart guy. I mean, I like how he explains things, and he kind of you can tell he's he thinks like a writer. He thinks like a journalist. And very cool. So, Josh is our subject. A lot of people wonder, why are you painting this? And I'm a fan. I'm a Dateline fan. I'm a fan of journalism in general. And true crime. It's kind of fun. Well, maybe not fun isn't the right word, but I like learning about how criminal justice. So that's why I watch. All right, so there's a area of brick we're going to put in here. Let's find this one. Okay, encoding overloaded. Consider turning down the video settings. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll consider it, but I wouldn't know what the heck I was doing. So I need some guidance there. Meanwhile, anybody, oh boy, I don't like doing that. Anybody out there vis-a-vis or via YouTube? If you are, I'd be curious to know, are we live? Yes, we are. Is there anybody out there that wants to say hello? Pop a comment in the chat. You know, you will be the first ever to chat on YouTube while I'm live. Same goes for Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, hit me up. And then I'll be like, whoa, the first ever chatter. Okay. In the meantime, I'm just building a brick wall here. Little by little, piece by piece. And there's another example where mixing, there are some things that are nice about painting with the digital software, and there are some things that are not nice about it. But my hope is to learn how to do paintings in more platforms. So give me a shout and let's talk about it. I know there are people, particularly on Facebook, I have a group of portrait painters on Facebook, and I think that I know that there are people who have strong feelings and opinions about digital art. And I welcome a discussion because I want to learn more. And talking to people is often helpful. Although, yeah, sometimes Facebook brings out not the best in people, but it's a good place potentially to learn from one another. All right, so I'm going to keep going here. And we're going to hope that our screen is still recording. Yes, it is. We're going to we're just plugging in these darks. I mean, look how dark that is. And it's supposed to be even darker. How's that look? Okay. We're building a brick wall today, folks, and every day here at Eastland Portraits. Oh my gosh, this is so weird. Like, I'm losing my mouse. Oh, I see it. Okie doke. So 9 a.m. kickoff. It's my hope to do 2 streams a day. And I think what I'm going to do eventually is to have 2 different projects going on any given day. So, you might see Joshi, and then you might see somebody else. So who would that be? I think next we're going to break out 2 superstars of the Dateline world at the same time. So we'll get, because we gotta get moving. It's been a month now on these Dateline portraits. Let's get them going. So yeah, here again, look at where I have to constantly remind myself, you're painting a brick wall. You have to get into the spirit of the brick wall and notice how it wraps, and it's not yes, it's just tones, but sometimes if you just put the tones down and you don't have an eye for form, you can get into this kind of like just copying, like a printer kind of, as I've said a couple of times before. And that's not really where we want to go. We want naturalism, not realism, but we want naturalism. Let's discuss the difference. Anyone out there want to talk about that? What is photorealism? What is naturalism? How are they different? Have you ever painted or attempted to paint in those styles? We're gonna, if we find it, There's our brick wall. So let's find this one. The other thing that I'd like to do, I mean, I don't know to what extent streaming to multiple platforms at once eats up like CPU, you know, or like if there's something going on with my bit rate, or I don't know. But the other thing that I'd like to do is potentially get a stream going over on the TikToks. A lot of kids over on the TikToks. And yeah. Meanwhile, you know what? I'm really just distracting myself from the sheer boredom of painting this brick wall. This is a cool part, actually. This part of the wall is kind of fun because it's an archway. All right, here's an example. I want this dark to live alongside a light edge. And I want it to be distinguishable. Please don't overload. Overload it again? Is anyone watching the stream and seeing things getting overloaded or choppy? Please hit me up in the chat. If I see it, if I don't see it now, I'll see it later. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. But oh, dude. What? Sorry. Let's take a break. We're not taking a break. We're just... I want to see something. Oh, what's up? Riley Drouse, what's happening? Thanks for the like. How's it going? Let's see what we can do about this. Finishing up the rest of this brick wall. Nothing like a brick wall to make things exciting. And I don't know, I think, should it be any different? The care with which you paint a brick wall, should that be different from the care with which you're painting a person? I don't know. I think you could talk about painting eyes and noses and mouths, and how traditionally in art history you're going to see people painting those much more, like if there's a focus on the eyes and then there's a sort of blurred edge, what's the word? Like look at the way this photo works, for instance. See the background? The background is blurry because there's what's known as depth of field with the camera. So you're seeing the camera is focused on Josh's mug, and the background blurs, and the eye works the same way, or at least our eye can only focus on so much information at once. And typically when you're looking at a portrait, you're looking toward the face. You're like, oh, well, what's this person's expression? What is their, and I kind of like that. So anyway, by focusing on when we see somebody, when I look at this painting, when this painting is all said and done, I want it to be somewhat similar to how it feels when I look at this photo. Like, look, here's the eye. You got the highlights around the mouth, the nose, bridge of nose. Your eye's sort of focused here. And we're not going to go nuts getting every little nook and cranny on the tie and over here. Same thing with the background. In fact, even more so with the background. We want the background to kind of fade into our field of vision. Okay, so where are we? We've got our brick wall starting to rise up here. Okay. Brick wall 2. Also. Mm-hmm. All right, how's our CPU here? How's it looking? Any trouble seeing? Is there anything like cutting out, or I don't know. Cheap viewers on 20s long .autos. Vortex. Oh, can we remove that? I almost tapped that link. Mod actions. What's this? Vortex Jante. They didn't follow me, so. Vortex Jante. I'm going to ban this person. Oh no. So sad. Delete. All right. They've been banned. Message deleted. Yes. Okay. Moving on. I think I'm going to go back. I think I'm going to be tempted from all this painting. On the computer, I have a sense I'm going to be interested in getting back into the studio soon. I sort of feel that itch more and more. And I have a friend who's been sitting for a portrait. Surprisingly, it's not easy to get people to sit for. In fact, the better you know someone, the harder it is to paint them, because you get into all your dynamics, and they're sort of like, well, I don't have to sit so still, or you let them do what they want because they're your friend. But anybody out there have battle scars from painting friends from life? It's not easy. All right, what's going on in our world of live stream? We're almost done with our background. I think more than ever, it's going to be tricky. Because look at how this background melts as it rises up. Okay, the brick wall sort of. The brick wall. The brick wall. Oh, CPU overload. Anyone? Anyone? Can you help me? Why is it doing that? I know I've tried to Google it, but there are compromises that I just don't want to make. Compromises that I just don't want to make until I'm, sort of properly educated in how to make those compromises. So here we go, keeping on. We're keeping going, just brick by brick. And sooner or later, we're going to get to a point where we're just like, oh gosh, that brick wall is done. Now what do we do? And that's a scary moment. But that's when we're going to probably take a break. So where are we at? We've got about 7 minutes. Can we do it? Can we mash in all these bricks in the next 7 minutes? Yes, we can. Okay. That was a mistake. All right, Joshy. So the likeness isn't bad. Gotta stretch. I gotta do a stretch, an off-camera stretch. The likeness isn't terrible. In fact, I would venture to say the likeness is on. I think the subtleties of the expression and the focus need to be ironed out. But yeah, one step at a time, right? Anybody watch? So I'm getting back into baseball myself, and I thought I was watching the Mets game last night, and it turned out I was watching Monday's game. Oh boy. And obviously I didn't see Monday's game either, but when I turned it off, when I realized what I'd done, I was like so relieved that the Mets won, because if I had watched the wrong game and then turned over to watch, and then realized that I was watching the wrong game, that I was watching Monday's game, and then to add insult to injury, to learn that, the Mets had lost. I mean, I'm not a huge Mets fan, but that's who I was, that's who I'm rooting for. So anyway, that happened. And I lucked out that they won. Because basically they're on this streak. They're on a winning streak, 7 games in a row now. And, yeah. Anyway. So see how the bricks up here begin to fade more. That's a good thing. We've got 4 more minutes. 4 more minutes. All right, so that, I mean, this, the way I did the bricks there looks like the way I painted when I was like, I don't know, in like 12th grade. Not even. Like student work. Nothing against student work. My favorite student work, but I went to an art school specifically to sort of paint in a naturalistic way. And okay. Oh great. Here, let's pull in this dark. See what's happening here? I didn't quite get my CPU overload. Sorry. All right, who knows? We'll have to fix that anyway. But goody. Goody. All right. So there's the vague idea. Well, here, look. We're going to have to blur this one down too. So here's our dark. There's our light. We'll come in here. Look. Yes, it's a dark, but it's a blurry dark. It was a dark and blurry day. Yep, there we go. And I think we're actually going to be done with this segment. Get our half tone value. Okay, zooming. Zooming out. Okay, let's not go crazy with the brick wall. It's a background thing, you know. So let's, I'm gonna plop in my, ooh, look at that. Now with the background, I have to actually write in my, oh, it's locked. Gosh. Unlock. So we're going to have to get our colors and then get our, let's do our white. Okay, back at What time? 10. Let's say 10:05. No, wait, what? 10:06. 10:07. What? Why is that happening? Is it backwards? All right, 10:07 Eastern Standard Time. And then we will just keep it rolling. When we come back, as Lester Holt would say, we're going to continue working on the portrait. Okay? Thanks for joining for hour 1. And I'll be back in 5 minutes. Hello? All right, here we go. Now for the tricky part. Lots of tricky parts. So let's discuss over a cup of joe here. First of all, second of all, third of all. So what we've done essentially is to block in our canvas. We blocked it in with, thick paint. Now our duty, our job, our goal is going to be to develop certain areas of the picture. Now, I like the way it looks. This is one of the first paintings in which I've ever got a kind of a relative degree of sort of brushiness that I like. However, there's still a bit of refinement to do. I'm pretty happy with how this area down here is developed. I'm happy more or less with the lapel here. I think I want the lapel to appear somewhat more I don't know. I got to figure out how the light's hitting the corner of the lapel here. That's too much. Maybe the same could be said for some of the highlights around here, but I'm not going to get into that too much. The tie definitely needs a little cleanup here. Cleaned up. And in here, this is an issue. We got to do all this stuff. But I think because it's been a long time since we've even been into the head at all, we're going to look very closely at that. We're going to look at hairline and find out, from this distance, I can immediately see hairline's too sharp. But let's just say we're looking only at the head. What we want to do is decide what on this head. Here, look, I'm zoomed out way too much. Let me zoom in like this at least. So Twitch family and possible family members at Facebook and YouTube, please chime in. Please let me know what do you see in the head that looks most kind of behind, I think, is like. And you might say, well, I don't know. It looks more or less like the picture, and I would say thank you. But what I would say to that is the choppiness in the head is distracting from our engagement with the eyes. So basically, when I look at this head, I'm seeing a relationship between the corner of the eye and the tip of the nose and this eye as well. Your eyes are focused on this sort of triangle here, the Van Dyke Z shape going down here, and the mouth loops back up, and it's just sort of a continuous loop. And we want all of that stuff to be like right now. I want to get into that. But I think what's distracting us are things like this choppiness, this choppiness, this choppiness, this choppiness. So all of this choppiness here in the hair and all this, it's like, it needs to be refined. It needs to be blurred, but I also don't want to lose the character of the brushwork. I like how it's brushy, and I want to keep it brushy, but I want it to be accurate. Faye, what's up? I'm ranting and raving. Hey, thank you. The canvas has been covered. We're just getting into now. What are we going to do for the next 2 hours or so? Hour and 45 minutes. And how do we decide that? We decide it by looking at the two together. So I've just been through, I'll recap. Maybe do pixel art. Yes. Pixel by pixel. Well, it's so interesting. Yeah, you could copy and paste. You could manually input everything. So, no, I think I'm not quite done with this portrait. And here's why. So down here, we'll recap. I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this. I need to clean up this area of the tie. I need to clean up this is too this is too sharp. The way the collar wraps around here, this is all too sharp. Like, we just want the illusion to, we don't want these sorts of sharp, chunky brush strokes to be distracting from the head. Shoulder needs to be coaxed. But now, more importantly, the head. So I was talking about how when I look at Josh, I'm seeing this really nice kind of slope of the eye, how the tip of the nose and the nose shape wraps up and around to the eye. And then the smile, we can't really see the smile and the eyes at the same time. We can look at the eye, and if we look at the eye on the right, we can still see some of the nose and some of the eye in focus. But the mouth we don't really see. What is that? I can't see that. Is that a handmade emote? Or is that one that I've seen before? That's cool. Thank you. Thanks for the rainbow heart robot. That's cool. Thank you. So we need to enable the mouth to, basically what I was getting at is the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean everything up. It's your helmet holding up an RGB heart. Awesome. I thought it was reminiscent of one of your projects, your cardboard helmet works. So I've got to clean this all up, and I've got to clean all this up, and so that we can then go into the head properly. Okay? So we're going to do it. let's remove this, and then I guess we could lock this up. I'm always afraid I'm going to start painting on the wrong layer. Okay, so let's get our paintbrush, and then we're going to really review where we're at. So look, for instance, this highlight, there's a light value there that doesn't need to be there. So we want to find a kind of middle value that okay, we're going to blur that. This is where it gets super tricky for me. So I'm going to be kind of in the zone here for a bit. Oh, that's cool. YouTube and Facebook are missing out on your artwork. But what I think we should do is put the chat up on the okay, so these are issues to resolve another time, but we will. So we're not going to get too into this stuff. We're trying to delicately resolve and blur edges so that our focus can be on the head. Okay, so here's this nice sort of purple tone, and then here's the cooler gray, and then in the middle I want there to be some kind of value that is a mixture of the two. So there's that. Oh, CPU overload. Can you see that? Can you see anything, Faye? What does that mean? Help me. I don't have time to figure this out right now. I will figure it out, but does it mean that you can't see the stream for 5 seconds or what? Patience or the attention span to make art for that long. To make art for how long? To make art for as long as I'm making it? Two to 3 hours at a stretch. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I take breaks in the middle. Like, I just, and also, like, when you get to be old like me, time just flies. I used to be exactly, I used to feel exactly the same way. Like, oh, I can't just sit here. It's going to take forever. And now it's like, what? That was 3 hours? So, make hay. Make hay while the sun shines. So, so here's another example. Yeah, like, oh, so I have so many questions for you if you can help. One is, are you noticing, like, it keeps saying, like, encoder overload? Also, finally, someone who doesn't blame my phone addiction for stuff. What do you mean? I would say you should, if you weren't so addicted to your phone. Yeah, I mean, if it's not a phone, it's something else, right? Okay, let's find this edge needs to be blurred. And we'll get in here. Yeah, I mean, oh boy. Lower the stream or bit rate or something. Okay, yeah. Are you noticing troubles? I wonder if I can help also stream is buffering. What does that mean? Like, what does it mean? So you're seeing like gaps? Is that what you mean by it's buffering? I'm a complete noob at this stuff. OBS. So if I go to settings, here, let me put on my. So if I go to settings and then I go to output, and then I go to like 5,000 kilobytes, and then hit OK. All right, let's see if this happens again. I mean, why not, right? The stream freezes and restarts. Okay, bummer. Is it happening right now? Streamlabs. I don't know about Streamlabs, but I think there may be issues with my internet connection. Like a couple days ago, the whole thing froze. Oh, wait a second, team. Oh boy, this could be bad. Did I lose? No, we're good. We're good. We're good. All right. So basically, I'm just going to keep an eye on. I'm going to assume that there's nothing wrong with my stream until I see the little warning pop up. Okay. So other areas of concern are, now if I zoom out to kind of my standard step back and view distance, I can find something like this and take that and blur it in. Something like that. And then I can also take something like this and watch how it kind of fades down into the area on the neck. Oh, really? Okay. I'm back. The cats were hungry. I'm working on my Italian. I gatti. Oh, geez. You know what? My verbs are terrible. I never learned verbs properly. I mean, so I gatti sono. No, I gatti hanno fame, right? Now, here's the problem. That's present tense. So, you got me. I mean, I used to know what the past tense of have was. Anyway, look, I'm going to start smudging up my painting if I don't pay attention. Here, we need a dark. Oh, you know what you might like, actually? Well, at some point I'm going to share my music on this stream and forever damn my stream. Erano. Yeah. Right. Erano affamati. But didn't you say o fame? Like I have hunger? I mean, I guess you could say they were hungered, right? But that's a little clunky, or not? Sono, right, I am hungry, but isn't the typical way to say I'm hungry to just say o fame? So what's the past tense of avere? Like avevo, avevano. This is in Italian, I am hungry. Yeah, yeah. God, there's a great Tim and Eric sketch about a kid's toy called Oh Hungy. It's like an advertisement for Oh Hungy, and the kid says, "I don't need your dinner. I've got Oh Hungy." And it's this like disgusting toy. Anyway, Tim and Eric, check it out. Check it out. Speaking of, so here we go. We're gonna blur this down. Blur this way. I definitely hit that a little bit too sharp. So yeah, this sort of like, let's get in here and figure this out once and for all. So, oh, stream buffering, right? Do you see that? It's like every time I zoom in. Is it still happening? Oh God. Definitely, probably. So look what I did here. I need to attend to this immediately. Like, it's not like there's all this stuff going on my stream, you know? Like, it's a little annoying. Like, I'm not, like, playing, like, you know, Call of Duty or something. Oh, geez, look at that. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. We need to secure the neck here. ASAP. Okay, we're going to pull that in. We don't need a second. What we need is this. Simply piano. We're going to carve this in. Probably should do it with one stroke, but I'm just getting extra nervous here. God, no. Here. If we don't resolve this now, it's going to plague us for the rest of the time. Yeah, I'm working in my Duolingo journey. I'm at like clothing right now. And it's all good. You don't. What's that? What's the idea? Ugh. I lost. Better. I'm going to hit the reflected light here. God, I didn't know. I never... Before, when I said I don't, I meant you don't see stream buffers. Okay. So maybe it was like marginal. Thank you. And, all right. All right, not horrible, but look, I think I just went a little overboard trying to fix all that stuff. It's important to fix. It's probably critical to fix this, as I said before. But you can fix it too much, so... We're just trying to get a handle on... So zoom out and look and say, fine. This blurs this away. Chinny chin chin. Okay. We start to carve under the neck. We don't want to go too crazy. We want to now look at what is happening to make the highlights in this area. What is going to make those placed more accurately? Come into this level, find out, come to find out the highlights live over there. The highlights live over here, over here. Now, do we need this to be like this dark? No. So basically, this is my problem with digital painting, is like, if I were to get a bunch of paint, oil paint, and stick it onto a dark area, it would mix, but not like that. It wouldn't get that mixed up. So we may just have to do a field trip one day to the studio. Okay, zoom to 0, and then start finding out where the shapes in the hair are. I know it might seem extraneous or unimportant, but this one looks like it comes down this way more. And then there should be kind of a thread of the hair that, something like that. Let's get a shadow edge like here. Blur it across, something like that. Oh! Wait, what happened? Stream buffering? Oh, God. So, now, I think I'm getting a little bit too into the weeds here on like the forehead, because I like some of the forehead choppiness, but you gotta kind of, whoa. I'm Josh Mankiewicz. I just keep telling myself that, and it looks like Josh Mankiewicz, okay? Look at the lip here. Now we can really start figuring out where I went wrong with the likeness. Look at this. You really don't want to have this kind of dark to light. You want a middle value, something like that. And you want to lay it in over. I don't know if that was helpful, but it's probably better. We need an accent. Okay, so our accent is gotta live over the top of his upper lip. So here, let's put one in here. We're looking back and forth as we place this in. We're just setting it down once with a tiny brush stroke, and then we can blur it and blend it. Same deal here. We need a dark accent, and we place it in. We grab the dark value and we hope that it's dark enough. It doesn't look dark enough to me. Maybe it is. Better. Now, look at what's happening with the eye and the smile mark. That's a huge problem. For one thing, I think this is all about getting the mouth accurate first. And, you hear me say that, and then I'm going to say, forget the mouth. Let's go to something else. But watching, looking, making judgments about distances, finding out what's where. It's hard work, but it will be worth it. There's that. Gotta get a... Okay, encoding overloaded. Again. Why is it? Chin. So this, I've always seen this chin as kind of too bright. So we'll place in our dark. Okay, something like that. And then we have highlights that curl in and around. Like, not highlights. Gosh, the number of times I've talked about highlights when they're not highlights at all. But light areas, so lighter areas. Not too much. Okay, now let's look at our brightometer. Brightometer, lightometer, I don't know what it is. What should we call it? And find out how this highlight lives here. Okay, there's one there. And then there's one that goes down here. It's like, once you paint with this tool, like, good luck moving it. Another item of interest is our, well, let's just figure it out. And there we get, does it go darker here? Yes, it does. Does this go a bit darker? Probably. Or more blurry. Does our chin line... I carved into the lip too much there, but we're making some progress. Greetings. Howdy. Okay. Corner of mouth. Can you offer me light? How do you mean? in the dark about our one true creator, the weevil. I'm I'm very curious about weevils. Yeah, there was I only know about weevils because I watched this film once. A great film called Empire of the Sun, starring a very young Christian Bale. And he's in wartime Japan. He's a prisoner of war. Or he's like at a prison camp. And all they serve is like basically, rice with weevils in it. Anyway, as a child watching that film, I was mesmerized, horrified. Okay. We're moving. We don't want to make his haircut look too short. Also, why are we doing this with the top of the head? Yeah, let's get our 60% view here, and we'll just do away with this stuff. We don't need these here. Now, all right, well, that's okay for now. Well, thanks for the heads up about the weevils. And let's keep our we're really gonna try to knock in this transitional value. So no, we don't want to do that. We want to start with our dark. No. See, that's a time where I really could have used undo, but I decided to just suffer through. All right, I like the brushiness here. What I don't think we need is all of this. Essentially, let's get serious about anatomy within the eye. So, like, all right, let's take a look. We want to see the big picture. We want to see the forest through the trees. We're going boom, boom, boom. It's carving down like this. Okay. And then, yes, there may be a subtle half tone, a shadow shape that expands its way. You do need brush work, tiny brushes. Now, we're not trying to get every little crow's foot. We did that, right? We did that with Keith Morrison, and it drove me nuts. This one, excuse me. We're not going to fall into the trap of getting every crow's foot. But we are going to try and soften existing crow's feet. You made a Discord server. Oh, that's cool. Now, is Reddit too kind of like boomer generation for you to hang out on? Send an invite to the Weevil Discord. I have a friend who would definitely want to get involved. Okay. Asking for a friend. We're blurring edges all over the place. We're trying to grab these subtle yet critical transitions that happen here. Boom. Fine. See what's happening here with this eyebrow? I mean, it's so important for the likeness. The most subtle shifts. And we're not, if we go heavy-handed with it and try and get it all done in one swift brush stroke, we're going to suffer. So you make life easier by thinking about where the brush stroke goes before putting it there. And you look and you make darn sure. Okay, so for instance, there's our thingamabobber. Did you notice how the eyebrow is like still canvas? Here's another issue that could be resolved pretty quickly. Look how our, sort of right, we were just talking about it, but we could float one of these. A little eyebrow. And under here, we have our oh my gosh. Subtle. Too subtle. Don't get too subtle. All right, so look at the loving, warm, almost the kind of, yeah, there's just a warmth here that I'm picking up on from old Josh. I'll pull that in, blur it down, and then, you know, like any other, we need to find out how we can make this edge turn. So, not like that. If we do that, then we have to make up for it. So we'll take our dark and we'll connect the dots here. When it's cold. Tip of the nose is always a difficult one for me. Let's try and make it not so difficult today. So let's find out how it does that, why it does that every time. Just one. We just need the one stroke there. Now, how about this? Beautiful golden halftone. I mean, this guy looks like he spent the summer in Barbados. These guys don't, oh no, encoding. Encoding. We blew right past our break time, which is good. I'm going to do another 5-minute break. And we'll find out when we'll be back. When will we be back? Coming up. 911, what is your emergency? I'm taking a break. 11:07 Eastern. And we'll be back. Let's make it 11:08. Okay. There we go. We'll keep this party going in just several minutes. Because then it's going to be down to the wire. Okay. Oy, 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 oy. Whoa, jeez. My God. It's quite a way to come back to the stream here if you didn't hear that. Okay. So, here we go. We're going to make sure we're still recording. We're going to take a look back. And we're actually We did a little bit of work on the eye, which I think we needed to do. Boy, oh boy, it's going to be hard. We got to do it. Gulp. All right. Let's lock this and then go back to our paint layer. Oh my God. Just. And look, it may come to pass that I'm just sort of like, darn it. Oh, shoot. I don't want to see this. All right, so here we go again. For instance, what happens if we have this edge turn and have that edge turn and then look back at our progress? What happens if we find a brush like this and come in here and try to something like that? What happens if we get our light highlight brush and just coax some of this around into the highlight, and then find a way to blur this edge somewhat? Blur that edge. And let's find out. I'm having trouble with the lower lip. Look, I am always having trouble with the lower lip. It's never not a problem. But we can mitigate. That's the best we can hope for, is try to get a grip on it. and keep it from going wild. Some of what's happening here is this really kind of nice value. It comes up here. Okay, we'll see how far up it can go. And then it trails off a bit over here. Well, this is kind of moving. Not bad. So look at what I've missed here. It's kind of interesting, if you ask me. There's a corner, the way the lip wraps in here is critical. It's all mission critical, right? We want this to loop up and in. Just once. One stroke there. And then take this and sort of blur it through, you know? Look. Take this, blur it down, and blur this through. And then see to it that this edge rising. And then, of course, this needn't be, you know, so extreme. And that's nice. Moving into areas such as like this, such as in the blurred that edge. All right, now if we don't, you know, this is like, it's not the end of the world if we don't make it to our, whatever our goal is. But wouldn't it be nice, to start on a new project this afternoon? But we're not going to get there by thinking about it. We're going to get there by painting ourselves out of this corner. So we sort of like know if this is the best way to describe this. Now that's getting tedious there, but come on now, it's tedious. What's squinting all the way down, we can see that this kind of nice gray tonality could be used to bring this edge over. Maybe try to rope this up. And wouldn't it be nice? So another thing that we've looked at and decided could be problematic is this edge. I mean, all these edges here are tricky business. We sort of got to find a way to blur them without them being like a huge distraction. Oh, encoding overload. It's every time I zoom in and out, I think. Wait a minute. How are we doing, folks? Pardon me. Shoulder. Is it too... Yeah, that's too much. I don't know, I kind of like that though. Who knows? Let's leave it for now. I don't want to get distracted. God, I'd like to clean this up. All right, so Helmet, got a question for you if you're there. No problem if you're not. But it's about Italian television. Who better to ask? You know where I was here? I was here. Let's blur down this edge here. This is how we would do it. This is how we do. Ah! Stupid. Sorry. Okay. Strategy. There's a bit of something that needs to be addressed here. So here's what I think it is. We're going to put in our one thing that is certain is that this nice let's say we get in here with our 00. Imagine for a second. A 00 brush, and we get a half tone. We just sort of what's the word? Just gently. I think then we attempt to bring our, so we zoom to our 60%, and then we try our darndest. Yeah, like, what's this? Blur that across a couple of times. Let's get this sort of highlight under the eye here. We want to blur that edge. Yes, we do. We want to find out what's happening with... How many times do I say we're going to find out what's happening with something? And then we don't. Or we move on and get into something else. So here's where we got to do the old double blur. Okay. That was too blurry. Like, look. I know it was. Because I'm going to try to pull some of those lights over. And we're going to also try to beatify. Well, look here. No. Let's blur this down. Yeah, you don't want to go, again, too crazy. Because you lose the brushwork, which I don't want to do. Moving again beyond sort of the general and more into the specific. How about this? This is what my teacher would refer to as the Nasenflügel, the nose wing. Okay. Put that in. Step back. How'd we do? How am I driving? Highlight above the Nasenflügel, just as important. And then now is our moment. This is our moment. If we don't seize it, we will forever regret not blurring and softening. So while we're in the mood, we're going to blur that edge, and then we're going to literally make this edge softer, if we can. Okay, so we'll come into this level. And then, interesting to notice what happens with highlights. How do they trail off? How does this highlight turn into this? Well, you kind of find it, pull it away. And then looking again, we can take this edge and sort of blur it back into the background. All right, we're looking back and forth. We're getting into the zone here. Nasenflügel 2.0. Make it, mark it. Find a way to make it make sense. Now, we got to make a choice here. The nose wing looks pretty good, but what we're not seeing is the kind of the way it curls. So like, let's find our edge and exactly how and where and why does it do this. I'm so tempted to take a measurement, but I'm not going to do it. We got to live with what we've got. Okay. Quick blur. Yeah, I think this blurs up. I mean, I can't be certain, but I think this blurs over. All right, and then definitely we need to address this area. All right, we'll just blur it down entirely. Zoom out. Look at the crow's feet. And again, we're back at crow's feet. We're arguing about crow's feet again. So that's fine. We have to get a grip and do what we got to do. But it's just hard to do that, you know? We're going to plop in highlights, halftones. Yeah. We're really being dainty here. We could do so much more, but I'm trying to like keep it classy. Keep it mindful. Keep it demure. Yeah, I'm losing my original vision for this, which was basically don't get caught in the weeds. Very tricky. But that was the original vision. And I'm losing it. But we've gotta, when you get down to the end here, forget it. Look, let's not talk about how much time is left, because we can always work on it again. But, I've got 20 minutes till we're done with this session for now. And why not try to bring it in for a finish? Okay. So there's the I. There's a kind of, not sinister, but I want to say that's suspicious. Suspicious brow. Who's suspicious? Oh, we've got more encoding problems. So yeah, it's basically, a matter of what anyway, I'm not going to talk for a while because I'm down to the finish. There's a halftone that lives here. It's a very dark halftone, and it lives right here. And it makes his eye look a little bit more like that. And this is a little area that also makes his eye look a little more like that. And let's blur the edges, bro. So, what I mean by that is, let's get our brush, that was super sloppy. So we kind of need one dark that we carve in. There we go. That's better. And then that means we can begin to pull some of this. Well, can we? I don't know. Can we pull this edge down and over a bit? Can we pull any of this highlight under the eye here? Pull that in. They dare. And then, how about this highlight? Well, yeah, you know. I'm like, we just need to hit these. We need to get a little bit more of this action going on here. I mean, some of this, it's like you can't, I can't say it enough. It's just so, what was my friend used to say? So difficult. You know, just grab that, pull it under, push it down under, and then figure out where and why this is like a shadow edge. I mean, why is it a shadow edge? Because it is. But I mean more like make it express itself as a shadow edge. So, right now I'm getting finicky. Is finicky? What does that word mean? It's crazy. Like when I think of finicky, I just think of cats, and I never learned what that word means. If that, you know, so I just don't use it because I don't know what it means. But if anyone knows, learn something new every day, I hope. All right, now our highlight as it trickles up. Not bad. Boy, oh boy, what are we at? All right, we're at the 15-minute mark. This item up for bid the next item up for bid. That's kind of cool. Could almost leave that like that. But I think what I'm going to do is just... no. That's kind of my pet peeve is like, oh, let's fix that when it already reads fine. Like, you know. I mean, it's not amazing, but when I look at the eyes, I don't jump back to that and think, oh God, who left that foolish mark there? Okay, so let's just get our... Oy, get out of there. Carve out. There's Josho. always was having some trouble with this, and I think we need to really solve it. Salve. I magnini sono qui. Okay, there's another. Oh boy, that's not what we needed. Here's what we do need, and stop me if you think I'm wrong. Our corner of mouth is pretty good, but what I'm seeing is this kind of like inattention here. You know, blur that a bit more. Find our, because this highlight is like yelling out to me saying, you need me in here somewhere. Okay, so we're going to find it. It's basically a smile mark within a smile mark within a smile mark. But now other things to address here, like look at this lovely half tone as it bleeds up in. Why is our corner of nose still behaving this way? I don't know, but we're going to just get rid of it. That's Josh. That's better. Eyebrow is not quite where I want it to be, but I think more importantly, we're dealing with some structural issues here. So let's pull that in and then darken up around here. Oh, not where I wanted that to go. Here. Not quite where I wanted that to go, but better. Yeah, fine. I knew that was going to happen. This is what's wrong with my shadow edge here. So it's like there's a crinkle, a crinkly twinkle in the eye. Do you see it? Can you see that crinkly twinkle? I want to see it in our portrait. So I'm going to come in here and try and blur and blend. You know, maybe not quite. Oy, shh, shh, shh. I can't. Gently, gently. A crinkle twinkle. And then let's pull. Edges around. Now this edge, you started to see me pop it in there, but I'm going to put it in again. It's got to be in there, so something like this. You know, where? Down here. Something like that. There's a gray, so yeah. All right, let's start this. We're going to finish what we started. Pull that across. Try to blend and blur this shape of eye down here. All right, last moments of whatever. Yeah, look at this. I mean, this is really one of the big problems that I've been laboring under for a while here. Just making the eye come out a bit more. And then this, we're having problems with the stream again. You all ready for this? We better be. And now, as our daylight wanes into the afternoon, we give ourselves one more opportunity to put in a highlight. We give ourselves the opportunity to blur an edge from eyebrow down finding as we do our sort of finding things. we are at the end here. As much as I'd like to say we're not, I think we are. So the last thing to do here is going to be sort of blur this edge across. That's the last thing we want to do. Meaning don't do it. Okay, blur that edge across. And then we never really resolved the under chin here, but we can kind of do that in our last moments. Blur that. We can blur we can do it. Let's get our last bit of smile mark rocking. Because we see that, right? And then our upper lip can really blur down. So it's not sort of push and pull. It's hard to see what's happening there. But, and then our highlight, drag our highlight across the lip. Let it sort of scatter across. And then this one, you know, as I say, we could go on forever. And we've loved visiting with our pal. But it's time to move on. It's time to get up. So we zoom out, look at how that lip operates on the right side. This will make a little, opportunity here to sort of gulp. Zoom out. That's Josh. There's a little highlight that I want to get. So there's two things. This is important. Hit the highlight. Something like that. And boy, oh boy, if we aren't satisfied with a pretty good likeness here. Pull this highlight across. I mean, in the end, comes down to just making accents, and you're really kind of making trouble, but this is what it's about, solving things we never solved. And making connections, bridging things we never bridged. Okay? Does this need to be so edgy? I mean, he's an edgy dude, but all right. Hair. Any last words on the hair? I don't know. I think, yeah, we could hit it. We could do some more whites in the hair. Okay, looking around. Anything else we can solve? Yes. Soften all this stuff up. Blur this into this. Something like that. And then hit a last approach at that faithful collar. And then we just sort of end it there. Josh V9. And then we call it. So we'll be back. When? I don't know. But we're going to take a break, make some phone calls, and that'll do it. Thank you for joining. Hey, Cinnabon boy, what's up? See you later. Thanks for stopping in. I think we're done with this one. We'll get a time lapse going.